Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have for you today. We're going to talk about this. We've got VanEck with 11 2023 crypto predictions, one of which is about the SEC versus Ripple case, and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. Right now, $1.07 trillion market cap for cryptocurrency. Good morning. We're off by 0.5%. Bitcoin, 22,400 plus, 1567 and change for Ethereum. Tether market cap is $71.5 billion. They're in the news today, too. 36 cents per XRP. We're off by 2.4 in the 24-hour and 3.4 on the 7-day. Ladies and gentlemen, March 15th, we're going to get Glint Pay's live reveal of the brand new Glint app, MasterCard, launching soon. I'm excited. I've already got the app now and the MasterCard debit card, but I tell you, I can't wait to see what the new features are and how all of this is going to work together. Make sure you click the link for Glint. It is the best way for me to get my gold and accumulate my gold so I can have it and be able to spend it just like everyday real money without anyone ever realizing it. Click that link underneath the video. Breaking right now, MicroStrategy confirms exposure to Silvergate, but underneath of this, if you go down to the statement from March 2nd, MicroStrategy says that they had a loan from Silvergate, which is not due until Q1 of 2025. There are market concerns of Silvergate's financial condition. For anyone wondering, the loan wouldn't accelerate because of this insolvency of Silvergate or bankruptcy should it happen. And basically, our Bitcoin collateral isn't custodied by them either, so we have no other financial relationship with Silvergate. That's what MicroStrategy had to say about that. So that covers that. We'll give you more when we have it. This is something I want to talk about right here. This is a great read, and we're going to go through some of this, but not all of it. You know, and most of you know that Caitlin Long has been a huge advocate in crypto, big Bitcoin supporter, and also has Custodia Bank. And what I want to get into now is what she's really sharing here, that she's been thinking about crypto and banking, which is in the news. And we've got some information and news after this thread that sets it all up that you're going to need. So hang in there with me here. So you're going to need all of this. So basically what she's saying here is that I spent years thinking about the issues between banking and crypto, and that's what the summation of this thread is really about here. She talks about demand deposits 100% with cash held in federal master accounts for safely banking crypto in the industry. Now, I want to bring you down here because she also talks about here that, but that's not what the U.S. banks and crypto generally are doing. It says, please see for yourselves by reviewing their financial statements. It says 10-year securities backing demand deposits that customers, could withdraw in minutes. That's probably, but isn't inherent to crypto. She goes on to say here, I just finished updating the balance sheet here, analysis of the banks in crypto, and something jumped out at her, which is 8 times, which is a number I've seen before, she says. When any bank puts 8 times its shareholders' equity at risk in anything, that thing it goes haywire. The outcome is predictable. So basically what she's saying is that banks generally are 8 times leveraging against their shareholders' equity, right? That's what she's explaining there. Now, if we understand that, and then we understand that you could do the math on that very simply compare demand deposits that could be withdrawn in minutes versus cash on hand and calculate that as a percentage of shareholders' equity. So in other words, what she's saying is if a company has invested 8 times its shareholders' equity in the stock market, and when the stock market corrects at 12%, the company goes bust. That's what happens, right? Pretty simple math right there. Even I can follow that. But what conclusions can be drawn? A bank run serving crypto have nothing to do with crypto per se, and instead have to do with good old-fashioned banks borrowing short and lending long. That doesn't work when the bank demand deposits can be withdrawn within minutes. And Crypto is a canary in the coal mine for FedNow. Remember FedNow, 24/7, 365. Payments will come online this year, which means demand deposits outside of crypto will start settling near instantly. Curiously, though, I have seen bank regulators requiring FedNow banks, haven't seen bank regulators requiring FedNow banks to hold more liquidity. You get what she's saying here. So settling near instantly, how does this affect these banks that are 8 times leveraged their shareholders' equity positions when you start settling instantly now? It's a really great question, because that is the transition. That is literally where the rubber meets the road on this moving to a new near instant settlement system, right? They can't rely on the friction of the old system anymore. Related, it was always bothered her that the president's working group wanted only to ensure depository institutions to issue stable coins. That's backwards, she says. There's a lot of liquidity risk in stable coins. Depository institutions involved with them should only hold 100% cash. All of this is why Wyoming SPDIs makes sense for the banking crypto industry. SPDIs can't lend and must hold 100% reserves in liquid assets. Custodia Bank proposed to hold 108% of its customers' demand deposits in cash in its master account, but was declined. Not over yet, though, she says. Finally, she noticed that something interesting when compared to recent reports of FDIC. You're going to love this part. Inspector General of FTX's bankruptcy filings, the FDIC Inspector General, report said 11 FDIC insured banks may have had involvement in alleged wire transfer fraud. And of those, some of them were globally systemically important institutions. You could guess that one of them was, in fact, JP Morgan. The plot thickens. Kraken, however, who also recently went through a settlement and SEC turmoil, has said that they intend to start a bank. That's what they intend to do. So this is something to watch very closely, because now that we know that Caitlin Long Custodia Bank's taken a turn, the door was shut on them. Kraken's chief legal officer says the exchange plans to launch its own bank. Let's see where that goes. This is a clip right here from Digital Asset Investor. Shout out to him and John Deaton. I think this is so spot on. The plan: hand the crypto assets off to Gary's Wall Street buddies. Former U.S. Securities Exchange Commission Enforcement Branch Chief, I guess it's Braganca, I guess it is. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Forgive me if I'm not. Law attorney. And this is what she has to say here, because I believe this has been absolutely spot on, that the plan from day one is that if you can't kill it, crush it for the incumbents to come in and save it. Pennies on the dollar, I don't mind adding. Take a watch.
What happens to the likes of, let's say, a Coinbase or a Kraken or some other U.S.-based entity that trades in crypto, that tries to be on the books and show everything to regulators when they're asked? What happens to them?
They get sued.
Well, as long as they can satisfy the sort of requirements that typically are imposed on an ordinary broker-dealer like Merrill Lynch, they will be fine. But this is a problem, because you can't take your crypto and find a custodian that can handle it. I mean, you can't go to the ordinary bank custodians. We know that. The SEC has spoken about that. So how do you do it? What do you do? It's a real dilemma. What we need is guidance that says, okay, here is an asset class that people want to invest in. Here is a way that the SEC considers acceptable for custody of the asset. Without that, we are going to continue to have regulation by enforcement as people try to figure out what would be acceptable.
And there you have it. And what a great clip it is, because I think it shows exactly what's going on. You know, there is a price to keeping your eye on the ball, right? And I think all of this falls back, for me, not financial advice, but certainly falls back to one of my core tenets. I'm stacking my pennies next to their dollars. When I see these large entities not pulling away from this space, but yet digging in and setting up shop for what is to come, I have said it many times. We look at what is missing from this young, nascent, emerging market and superimpose the traditional market over top of it and say, oh, custody is one of the first things that's missing. And if we solve that correctly, which PolySign is also doing, and you can get that on link to, then you know that this is where we're going, and it starts with custody first. You solve the custody problem, and then we can start dealing with the other choke points like stable coins. Hang in there. Well, looky here. Tether has rebuffed a report on Wall Street Journal claiming it had ties to entities that fake documents and use shell companies to maintain access to the banking system. First of all, give Michael Branch a follow. He's amazing. And second of all, shout out to my buddy Ricky, who him and I were talking about this very issue. And it's like, you know, you never see the CEO talk. Where is he at? Where's that guy at? And you rebuff a report? I'll tell you what, you want to rebuff a report? Why don't you do it with a full-on, no-holds-barred, third-party audit? Because your greatest feature as Tether is actually not revealing where all the reserves are, and I don't know how that works for a future. I could tell you that. Look at what we're seeing and ask yourself if that remains. Now, some positive stuff we want to keep a focus on while we move through all of this information, which I believe reveals a transformation that's coming to this digital asset space, and it is birthing it as a very new market that will be very much regulated. Confirmation here from Ratha Common that September 2021 announcement about Paydeck mentioned local payments, but little more about them. It said local payment also user covers the entire cross-border e-commerce transaction flow for Latin America local payments. Note the other RippleNet users as well, you can see inside of this. I tell you, you know, it's like there's a lot that's being done, and I know people focus on price, and you're welcome to focus on whatever you want. I'll focus on the fundamental news, and as long as I see things like this happening, I'm still excited regardless of what's going on with the SEC versus Ripple case, and that is a huge impact we're waiting for, and it could be days away. Local Payments lists Ripple as a partner user on their website, including a description detailing the use of RippleNet API. You can see all the other references in this thread, but I do want to say big shout out to Ratha Common. Give him a follow. VanEck gives their predictions, 11 of them, however, for 2023. Some of these you're going to like probably, and then some of these you're probably not going to like. Let's get into them very quickly. We'll overview these. I'm not going to read them all. Bitcoin will test 10 to 12,000 range in Q1 amid a wave of minor bankruptcies, which will mark the low point of the crypto winter. Now, that's what we're talking about here. This is December 2022. They gave these predictions in full disclosure. I want to be fair, right? So it was the end of last year that they gave these predictions. But let's see how they shape up. We're still in the first quarter of 2023, so it's not out the window yet, right? In the second half, and by the way, if I could, you know, if Tether gets the rug pull, we could see that Bitcoin 10 to 12,000 test now, couldn't we? In the second half of 2023, Bitcoin will rise to 30,000, they say. Lower inflation, easing energy concerns, and a possible truce in Ukraine would be nice. And a turnaround in M2 supply will power the start of a new bull market. Number 3, financial institutions will tokenize more than $10 billion in off-chain assets. Now that is promising. Brazil will emerge as one of the most crypto-friendly countries of the world and tokenize a portion of sovereign debt offerings on blockchain. Well, let me tell you. Now, you guys know, if you've been with me for a while, I have spoken about putting debt on the ledger, and I'm not suggesting that this is obviously the XRP ledger. I'm not saying it is. But I've talked talked about the idea of countries putting debt on a blockchain or distributed ledger technology, whatever, XRP ledger. And it doesn't mean it'll be for Brazil, but Brazil does have a great relationship for Ripple, so I'll watch it closely to see what takes shape. But to me, that is big, long game picture of where we're going. Twitter will bolster its payments offering with state money licenses, competing more directly with Venmo and Cash App. I do want to see that. Competition is great. A nation, most likely one dependent on oil exports, listen to this, will announce it's adding Bitcoin and other digital assets to its sovereign wealth fund. Now, how would VanEck know that? Wink, wink. A new decentralized stable coin will reach $1 billion in market cap, they say. They also believe that Ripple will lose the SEC lawsuit. Now, that's VanEck saying that, not me, right? And they believe that, and I'm going to go to that one in a second, but Gary Gensler will leave the SEC, and we're all waiting for it, as proposed legislation fails to gain wide support. Total Web3 money gamers will rise from 2 million to 20 million as multiple AAA games come to market. Ethereum will enable withdrawals from the Beacon chain, so we'll see if all of those things happen. I want to get down here, as you guys do too. Ripple Labs has engaged in a legal battle since 2020. It says Ripple has the support of many large players in the industry, including Coinbase Blockchain Association. The support has increased with 12 independent entities now offering legal support to Ripple as well. Both the SEC and Ripple have called for a summary judgment from a federal judge in the case. So a decision by end of Q1 is likely, they say. Now, this was December 2022. Unfortunately, the crypto bulls, the SEC won its lawsuit against blockchain-based published company Library in November. The U.S. District Judge in New Hampshire noting that the case law suggests that a token, both consumptive and speculative use case, cannot be sold as an investment contract. With the case as precedent, we lowered our probability of a Ripple victory materially. Ripple CEO has said that crypto company will move to another country if it loses. Significant financial penalties, disgorgement are also possible. But I want to say this. That was December of 2022. Let us not forget that it was a completely different district court that the library case happened. Let us not forget that John Deaton intervened as a friend to the court with an amicus brief filing there and has had a massive impact to highlight in dicta from that judge that, in fact, that they cannot be secondary market, cannot be securities. That is a very, very important thing that was not in this, right? And then we have to remember this as well. Just days ago, in the court documents, Ripple argued that a recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling from Bittner versus United States buttresses their fair notice argument. And this is another matter that could extend, don't like to say it, but could extend the time that this decision gets made on this case. And it could be for very good reasons, because this case has been cited to support the fair notice defense for Ripple. So we shall see how this unfolds, but it is not over yet. But those are the predictions from VanEck, and we're going to watch them closely, by the way. A joint study conducted by Ripple and the Faster Payments Council estimate that more than $500 million of their surveyed leaders of payment firms think most merchants will accept cryptocurrencies as settlement method within 1 to 3 years. That's who's being sued by the SEC. Ripple, working with the Federal Reserve Faster Payments Council. No, I'm not saying that to be dismissive of the case. I'm saying that to highlight the importance of the case. And before we get out of here, ladies and gentlemen, this here from Eggrag Crypto says, we got to get above $1.22, and these little inverted white triangles that are illustrated here, there's our bull market line he shows us. And the BIMI is the break it or make it line, which is where we happen to be right here. If we go lower, we know we could go all the way down, right? So, we got to look at the up, the $1.22. And then says once we get above $1.22, then you could talk about these higher 3-digit numbers like $184 and things of that nature. But I'm reminded too, and I got to shout out to Blockchain Backer, who really says, it highlights in his video that I saw recently that the chart shows us that when XRP moves, It doesn't move big moves often, but when it does, it's drastic when it happens, and it's very quick. And I don't know if $1.22 is that quick move. I don't know if $184 is that quick move, or if it's 10 cents. But I tell you this, we're getting to a place where I believe we're going to find out one way or another. Not financial advice from me, Eggrad Crypto, or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.